adding and subtracting fractions. It's actually quite easy to add and subtract fractions if they have the same denominator. Let's have a look at some. Let's look at 1 over 10 plus 2 over 10. These fractions have the same denominator because they're both 10. If that happens, you keep the denominator the same and you just add the numerators together. So 1 plus 2 gives us 3. So 1/10 plus 2/10 gives us 3/10. Same goes for subtraction. Let's have 5 over 7 minus 1 over 7. Denominators are the same, that's good. So we keep it the same. Now we just subtract the numerators. 5 minus 1 gives us 4. Gets a little trickier when the denominators are different. Let's look at a half plus a third. Now, we can use our knowledge of equivalent fractions to change the fractions so they have the same denominator, but it keeps their value the same. To do this, we're going to need the lowest common multiple of the denominators. So let's write out some multiples for our denominators. So multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, and so forth. Now, what is the lowest common multiple? Well, the lowest number that appears in both is 6. So that's our lowest common multiple. And what that tells us is that's the number we'd like to change our denominators in our fractions to. We'd like to change this 2 to a 6 and the 3 to a 6. Well, how do we change a 2 into a 6? Well, we just multiply it by 3. But just multiplying the denominator won't give us an equivalent fraction. We need to multiply the numerator as well. How do we change a 3 into a 6? Well, we need to multiply that by 2. And again, we're going to have to make sure we multiply the numerator as well by 2 to make an equivalent fraction. To make an equivalent fraction, you need to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. So what this is going to give us is 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 times 2 is 2, over 3 times 2 is 6. So what we've done there is made 2 equivalent fractions that actually have the same value as the ones above them. So a half is actually the same as 3 over 6, but we've just made it more convenient because we know how to add fractions with the same denominator. Because to add fractions with the same denominator, you keep the denominator the same, and you just add the numerators together. So 3 plus 2 is 5. Let's look at another example. 2 1/4 minus 1/8. Now, when you have a mixed numeral involved, a good first step is to change the mixed numeral into an improper fraction. So to do that, we're going to times the whole number by the denominator and then add it to the numerator. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus the 1 gives us a 9, then we just keep the denominator the same, and minus 1 and 8, we don't do anything with that yet. And now this looks a bit nicer to deal with, but not as nice because the denominators aren't the same. So we're going to need the lowest common denominator, or the lowest common multiple, which is the same thing. Now, you could write out all your multiples, or you might already know that the lowest common multiple is 8. So if the lowest common multiple is 8, we don't actually have to change this fraction at all because its denominator is already 8. We just need to change the first one. So to change a 4 into an 8, we multiply it by 2, which means we need to also multiply the numerator by 2. This is going to give us 2 times 9 is 18, 2 times 4 is 8, minus 1 on 8. And now our denominators are the same, So we're going to keep it the same and just subtract the numerators. 18 minus 1 is 17. So we get 17 over 8. I actually like keeping my answers as an improper fraction as opposed to mixed numerals. I'd stop there, but if you wanted to make it a mixed numeral, you could check how many times does 8 go into 17. Well, that goes in twice with one remainder, and we just keep the denominator the same. So we get 2 and an 1/8.